Back to taxes. We've been covering it all night, right? With the tax deadline that is right upon us. The House is set to vote on the repeal of the estate tax, or death tax as we call it here, which imposes a tax rate as high as 40% on inherited assets. That's the second time you pay tax on it. My next guest was there and leading the charge to put an end to the death tax. With me now, Republican Congressman Kevin Brady from Texas, a senior member of the Tax Writing House Ways and Means Committee. Welcome back to the show. So good to have you here. Before we get to taxes, my friend, and I know you're passionate about this, tell us about this gyrocopter on Capitol Hill. Did you see it? What was the reaction?
Yeah, no, I didn't see it. We were meetings at the time, but we got the security alert from Capitol Police and the lockdown that went on from it. Look, I don't know the details except this. I know people want to get attention to their issues. It sounds like this was the case with this gentleman, but boy, you got to use a little common sense, especially in a time where security is pretty tight.
Amen and amen. Let's get death taxes here for a second. You call the death tax, the so-called estate tax, immoral. Why?
Well, the thought you work your whole life to build up a nest egg, family-owned nest egg for your family, and you die, Uncle Sam swoops in, takes up nearly half of everything you built up. I think it's wrong, and we've seen a lot of family-owned farms and businesses have to sell good parts or all of what they have just to satisfy Uncle Sam. Again, this hurts the economy. It only generates 2 days of federal spending each year.
All right, let me interrupt you here because I want you to answer this question. From what I understand, the estate tax robs the economy of about $1.1 trillion.
Yeah.
Now, this is money that may be in small businesses, maybe in farms, that goes away because the tax is so onerous you have to sell everything. So tell me, is it raising a lot of money? Is it so attractive to have the estate tax or death tax because it's raising so much money for the federal government we couldn't possibly get rid of it?
Yeah, just the opposite. It's a declining source of revenue for the federal government. Its total is, again, the equivalent of 2 days of spending in Washington. Many experts believe that we would raise more money for the government but by repealing it, because right now you encourage consumption and tax planning and tax shelters instead of investment in your business.
Listen,
and it makes sense.
The whole tax code, it's nothing about keeping the accountants employed. My basic objection to this tax, and I have serious issues with it, is that we're talking about a second tax, at least a second tax on the money that families should have. So it's not like you pay once, you pay at least twice. And that to me seems to be fundamentally unfair. Your thoughts?
It is unfair, and you're right. It's at least twice if you think about all the property taxes throughout and all that. We have a business in Texas who was created, generated, passed down to the son. His dad paid at some point 90% tax rate in America. Then the government took another 55%. So think about, for some of those assets, they actually paid 145% on their hard work. And I just think it's wrong. This is the American dream they're attacking, and so we're going to fight it.
I know you're fighting it. I know you've got a lot of support in Congress, but the White House saying today they're going to veto this thing. Do you feel like, why are you doing this if you know the White House is going to stand in your way?
It's been, one, it's worth fighting for. It's so wrong. Two, it's been 10 years since Congress has weighed in on this issue. It's time everyone take a stand there. And the truth is, this is bad for the economy and bad for the American dream. So we're going to keep fighting. We're used to presidential vetoes. The president's been turning his back on taxpayers for a long time. We're going to keep standing up for this.
And of course, the limit on that $5.4 million, that's the asset size where that 40% tax goes into effect. Yeah. Congressman Brady, I hope you'll come back to this show soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerri.